Good evening, everybody, and welcome to the Township Board's business meeting. We're going to start with the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Good evening, everybody. I know there's a number of us up here who are recovering from colds, some farther along than others, but we will move on. We'll start. Additions, deletions to tonight's agenda.
Nothing.
Seeing none, I'd like a motion for approval of tonight's agenda.
So moved.
Support.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? All right, the agenda as stands. We have no presentations. Public comment, 3 minutes. Your name and address, where you live, please, on agenda items. Do we have anybody that wants to make a comment? Just the two. Okay, I'm good. Thank you, Kathy, for moving so I can see. All right, we have no public comment at this time, so we'll move to the consent agenda. Mr. Nadeau.
Thank you. Okay, well, I didn't know if you... I'd like to make a motion to approve consent agenda 22-012, which consists of the following: minutes of the April 25th regular meeting, minutes of the April 27th special meeting, minutes of the April 27th closed session, check registers dated through April 29th, 2022, the 2022 Township of Grosse Summer Tax Levy, Public Service Commission Resignation, 2022 Islandfest Fireworks, Airport Advisory Committee Chairman appointment, Clerk Dispatcher new hire, and appointment of a new lieutenant for the police department, and solicit proposals for township legal services.
Support. Any comments on the consent agenda? Hearing none. We have a motion before us to approve the consent agenda 22-012, which consists of the minutes of the April 25th, 2022 regular meeting, minutes of the April 27th, 2022 special meeting, minutes of the April 27th, 2022 closed session, check register dated through April 29th, 2022, the approval of the 2022 Township of Grosse Summer Tax Levy, a Public Service Commission resignation, approval of the 2022 Islandfest Fireworks, appointment of the Airport Advisory Committee Chair, a Clerk Dispatcher new hire, the appointment of a new police lieutenant, and the solicitation of proposals for township legal services. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Hearing none, the consent agenda is passed. Before we move on to action items, I'd like to call our Police Chief Carmack up, and we're going to have a little ceremony for our new lieutenant. Congratulations, Lieutenant Brozak.
Hello. Hi, so on the agenda, we have proposed you guys make you ladies and gentlemen make a vote to promote Sergeant Todd Brozak to lieutenant. And for the background on Todd,
I'm sorry, I didn't hear you there.
That we're here to ask the board to vote to promote Todd from sergeant to lieutenant.
Oh, yeah.
That's what we're here for. So a little background on Todd Brozak. I've known Todd since the 90s. He and I worked together in the Wayne County Sheriff's Department on the dive team in the Marine Unit. In October of 2001, Todd joined the Grosse Police Department. Since joining the police department, he's worked all the different shifts. He's become the dive team commander for the Downriver Dive Team. In the last couple of months, he's been an acting lieutenant, deputy chief, and he's led as a sergeant, and when he was acting sergeant, all the shifts in the department, showing leadership. He's the vice president of our police union. When we opened up the position for lieutenant, based on the seniority in the department, there was 5 officers that could apply for it. Of those 5 officers, 4 of them got together, wrote a letter, all in support of Todd, to make him have this position. It says a lot about them to say they recognize Todd for what he's done for the department and the community, and what he's done for everybody within the department. And it says a lot about Todd, about the kind of person he is, for them to recognize that. So we appreciate you guys all voting and promoting Todd as lieutenant. If Todd and Deputy Chief Powell want to come up. And Mrs. Attill's going to swear you in.
You get a clean pen. I've got a cold, I'm so sorry.
No, you're fine.
3 negative COVID tests though, so it's really just a cold. So, it's my honor to do this with you. If you would raise your right hand and repeat after me. I do solemnly swear or affirm
I do solemnly swear or affirm
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution of this state,
and the Constitution of this state,
and that I will faithfully discharge the duties of the office of lieutenant,
and I will faithfully
discharge
discharge the duties of lieutenant
in and for the Township of Grosse, Michigan,
in and for the Township of Grosse,
County of Wayne,
County of Wayne,
and the State of Michigan,
and the State of Michigan,
according to the best of my ability.
according to the best of my abilities.
All right, that is it. Just have you make a signature right here. We now have a complete command team.
Thank you.
Congratulations, Todd.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good job.
So again, as we did with Officer Hurtado, we're going to provide Sergeant Brozak with his gold lieutenant's badge. Again, a symbol of honor, respect, and trust you've earned from the men that you serve with and they will serve for you. Congratulations.
Thank you, sir. Thank you. Thank you so much.
One more thing.
Pair of shirt and coat bars for lieutenant. So
Thanks. Thank you, Ted. Appreciate it.
You don't cut the stripes off?
If you'd like them, let me know. I'll be taking them off. But thank you so much. I really appreciate it, and it's an honor. It's an extreme honor, and I look forward to the challenges. And I've never shied away from a challenge or never shied away from hard work. So I see good things coming and going forward with the department.
Thank you, Todd.
Very nice.
Jim, may I just say something if you have
Absolutely.
1 second? I don't want to talk at Todd's back there. I knew Todd, he worked for the Wayne County Marine Division, and we've obviously worked together in certain things before he came on the department. I was on the panel that hired Todd, and there's certain things over the years that Todd has done and shown that in the public safety world, when you hire somebody, when you promote somebody, especially in the promotion of an individual, there's 3 things that public safety looks at in the best practices. One is the ability. Obviously, can he do the job? Does he have what it takes? You have capability. Once he has that ability, can he actually do what he's supposed to do with it? And the last thing, it's called in the public safety world is deservability, for lack of a better term. There's some individuals who may have the ability, but because of time, because of seniority, because how the structure, it's a quasi-military organization. And all I have to say is that, Todd, you have the ability, you have the capability, and as far as I'm concerned, you have the deservability in this one. There's no doubt in my mind. I've watched what happened. I watched what you've done. I watched how you've worked together. I watched how you tried to be the glue to bring things together along with the other individuals that are with you here tonight. And I think that this department is going to be moving in a direction that we want it to move in. And I think you were a big part of that. And I just want to say congratulations, truthfully, from my heart.
Well-deserved words for Lieutenant Brozak. And I do want to apologize to his wife for getting her name wrong. All right, action items. Unless someone else has anything to say? Doesn't appear. Okay, action item number 1, David, if you would.
I'd like to make a motion that the Grosse Township Board hereby authorizes the creation of the position of Ordinance Assistant / Assistant Permit Coordinator / DPS Secretary outlined in the attached memo of understanding between the Township of Grosse and the Technical Professional and Office Workers Association of Michigan. Furthermore, the Grosse Township Board approves the second attached MOU between the Township of Grosse and the Police Officers Association of Michigan, which addresses the transfer of various ordinance officer responsibilities to the position of Animal Control Officer.
Support?
Thank you. Little background, David?
I'll turn it over to Derek. 'Cause it's-
A lot of moving parts to this whole reorganization of the position of ordinance officer that we recently had vacated with the retirement of Mr. Gray. Mr. Gray's position really was twofold within the organization. He was our ordinance officer, but he also handled some of our zoning responsibilities. So if you're a homeowner and you're making application, or even a business, a commercial entity, or an even industrial type business, if you're doing some improvements on your property, part of Tony's job was to review your application for a permit, your plans to make sure they conformed with zoning. So those are the two aspects of his position. What we're doing in this motion is to really reallocate those two positions or those two responsibilities that he had within the organization and reallocate those among multiple individuals. One of those individuals that we're going to reallocate portions of his responsibility to would be a new position within the collective bargaining agreement. That's why it's before you. Those require township action to basically create those positions. The position of ordinance officer will not be filled by way of how it's defined within the collective bargaining agreement. So really this is a 1-for-1. We're exchanging that position for this newly created one. So this is not a +1 head. This is just a replacement, but in a different capacity. So first things first, the position that's being created, that is going to handle some permits issuance duties, but also the ordinance enforcement clerical type work. And that is defined within the job description that was included in your packet that was created for this position. The other portion of the ordinance enforcement duties, the field work, will be allocated to the current animal control officer. So these two positions, the newly created one and the animal control officer position, will be addressing those ordinance enforcement responsibilities. Animal control, which will now be your animal control / ordinance officer, will be handling the field work and will work hand in glove with the clerical position that we're creating within that MOU to be combined to do those ordinance enforcement responsibilities. The other component of Tony's job, the ordinance enforcement position that was previously filled, the zoning aspect will be handled by current staff member Lori Zalewski. So I think you have all met her, and actually her original title within the collective bargaining agreement is permits coordinator / zoning officer. So it'll put her more back into, closer what her original role was supposed to be within the collective bargaining agreement. She will handle the zoning responsibilities that Tony was handling. Meanwhile, we will be bringing in Brian Borden an additional day per month to assist with some of the more complicated matters. Brian was working for the township 1 day a month, and then he was kind of on call to answer questions. He will now be working with us for 2 days a month. So I think probably the question comes up, why are we doing this? We have current staff, both in-house and also through our planner, that we would like to use a little bit more effectively and efficiently, to leverage the skills that they have to do some of this work that needs to be done. So I think we have some very good in-house staff that can handle these responsibilities and handle them in a very efficient manner. In addition, this new position, we have the ability to create a position that handles new responsibilities or different responsibilities and craft that position into what we want it to be within the organization. So it's a good opportunity to kind of take a look at the position as it was previously filled and figure out the best way to handle those responsibilities, and that's really what we're doing here. This has been kind of a heavy lift because, as you can see, it involved not only a variety of current employees, but also our unions. So I would like to thank the unions for their work in pulling this all together and being willing to have an open mind to this reorganization, because without them and their participation and willingness to take a look at this, none of this would have been able to happen. But I truly feel from a personnel standpoint, this puts good people in these positions to do these responsibilities or take care of these responsibilities that are so, important to the township and its residents. So this whole package, I believe, strongly does that.
I'd just like to add, besides one of the benefits of this, and that we looked at in doing it, crafting it this way, was not only are the various people doing new things in some instances, but this position will also give us a backup to Donna in the DPS department. It'll give us a backup to Lori also. So we'll actually have somebody who can step in if someone's sick or on vacation that we didn't have before. So there's a lot of benefit to doing it the way this is being proposed.
Supervisor makes a very good point. The redundancy is a huge plus to this. Also, the current animal control officer has worked with the ordinance officer on and off the past couple of years, so she is very familiar with the responsibilities of that position. So,
I will say right now that we when we get this up and running, we will in fact have an ordinance enforcement program again. That it won't be by complaint only.
So,
Other questions? Mike?
couple questions. So, at a very high level, not getting into all the minutia, a lot of moving parts here. Not expected right from the gate for you guys to be as good or as efficient as what you were before, but I would ask the question, 6 months down the road, do we think we'll be just as efficient, if not better?
I believe so, yes. And a matter of fact, I think the curve on this will be even shorter than that. I think a couple of months into this, we'll be saying, we're doing well with this reorganization. So,
Okay, so obviously continuity, backup training, 2 other real benefits. Then there's that thing called cost.
yes.
And I think, is it fair to say we're gonna realize some cost savings? Obviously, you're gonna need to bump some people here and there, but
So the math on this is about a net $6,000 cost increase. But it has been budgeted. This was anticipated when we put together this year's budget. And although it is a net $6,000 increase, a portion of that, actually more than the $6,000, is the addition of the planner, an additional day per month. So you're actually getting value for that additional cost. above and beyond, because I think the cost on that's right around 10,000 for that additional assistance. So you're actually getting $10,000 of work for only $6,000 of additional cost. So there's a big benefit to that.
Along those lines, we can monitor the planner, and if we see we don't need him in here, he doesn't have to come in.
Yep.
So that we have a good, it's not like it's a person who's here 40 hours a week and we have to pay him. We can actually monitor that and scale it back if we need to.
Yep, and that's been in discussion, so as we go along, we can dial him back as needed, have him in here, or if he's not needed, then he doesn't, so.
Is the planner an employee or contractor?
Contracted.
Contractor, yeah.
And Mr. Boren's been with the township for quite a few years, probably, I would say in excess of 15. Yeah.
Yeah, his firm.
I guess just from a team perspective, I mean, this is obviously viewed by a lot of these employees that are affected as a real positive thing.
Yes, and if it didn't, we wouldn't have the buy-in of all these different employees, and the unions for that matter. I mean, I think the unions see the benefit in this as well, to make sure we're aligning, personnel with tasks that they're best suited to do, maximize the time, and provide opportunities for redundancy like the supervisor had mentioned. So I think there's a lot of pluses to this.
Else?
I have one. So I see the memorandum of understanding for the assistant permit coordinator / ordinance assistant / DPS secretary, and then the animal control officer / ordinance officer. So on the assistant permits coordinator, writ all one, it stipulates that they report to the community development director.
Correct.
So do we have a currently assigned community development director?
We don't. We're still out advertising that position. That closes on the 15th. I think we probably have maybe 10 or 12 applications there that we'll be going through. So
Okay. I just wanted to make sure I didn't miss something.
And so while that's going on, until we get that position.
Yeah.
Eric's in charge.
Okay. All right. That's all I had.
Anyone else? Not seeing any. We have a motion before us that the Township, Grosse Township Board hereby authorizes the creation of the position of Ordinance Assistant / Assistant Permits Coordinator / DPS Secretary outlined in the attached MOU between the Township of Grosse and the Technical, Professional, and Office Worker Association of Michigan. Furthermore, the Grosse Township Board approves the second attached MOU, which is Memorandum of Understanding between the Township of Grosse and the Police Officers Association of Michigan, which addresses the transfer of various ordinance officer responsibilities to the position of Animal Control Officer. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? None? We have that job created, Derek. Let's go fill it. Thank you, everyone. Moving along, action item number 2, Uda?
Thank you. Before I go ahead, I just want to make sure that the last line, section 19.4E, that should really be 9.4E, right? The 19 is a typo, because we're talking about section 9.4E.
So it's correct on the agenda, but not on the item report?
Yes,
Okay.
19 is later on.
later on. So I would like to make a motion that based upon a recommendation of the Planning Commission, the Township Board hereby approves the amendment to zoning ordinance Article 9, A1 Airport and Light Industrial District, Section 9.4E.
Support?
Thank you. As your history and purpose says, the Planning Commission held a public hearing on March 7th, 2022 on the zoning ordinance amendments on Article 9, A1 Airport Light and Industrial District, and there was no public present, there were no comments, and if I remember correctly, it was a unanimous vote of the Planning Commission. I just want to add, in my conversation with Brian Borden, he just gave me a little extra background to share with you. 9.4 was prepared in response to the Pirates Cove project at the Commerce Park, where the need for public sidewalks along a storage facility was questioned. Under the current ordinance, a sidewalk is required, so this proposal would make it discretionary with input from the Commerce Park Commission. So in essence, moving forward in this district, it would be a discretionary decision based on input by the Commerce Park Commission and the Planning Commission, whether or not to enforce the sidewalk rule. Derek, am I giving that accurately?
Yeah, that is very accurate. Yep.
I was just going to add, because I actually was around when that went in. The thought was prior to Pirates Cove that we would possibly be building commercial buildings, that you might have walk-in traffic. Thus, they wanted the sidewalk. When the project became Pirates Cove, where you're having storage and no walk-in, it just didn't make any sense to have a sidewalk to nowhere, and thus this amendment.
And I want to say that there was a preference to put a bike path section on the west side of the
Yes.
parcel going back towards the sled hill, which would take the place of the bike path or the sidewalk along Midway. So there was an exchange there of locations because it made better sense to have it, somewhere else. So I think that's still in the plan.
Yes, exactly, and that's a good point, as is the potential for a sidewalk on the other side of Midway, depending on what kind of business in the future might go into that site. But there will continue to be the landscaping and the green belt, et cetera. But I think everybody thought it made sense in that type of a zone to make that a discretionary item and not a necessary item.
Other comments? Hearing none. We have a motion based upon the recommendation of the Planning Commission that the Township Board hereby approve the amendment to zoning ordinance Article 9, A-1, Airport and Light Industrial District, Section 9.4E. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? None? Passes. Sidewalks are not mandatory. Thank you, Uda. I'll let you go again.
Go again. It's rare that we have this much activity.
It is.
But as you know, the Planning Commission is working its way through some of the ordinances in an effort to update and upgrade, keep up with the times and the needs, some of these ordinances. So you'll see that based on the recommendation of the Planning Commission, the Township Board of Trustees hereby approves the amendment to zoning ordinance Article 17, waterfront provisions, Section 17.5B, notification and review procedures.
Support.
And as you see from your history, purpose, and explanation, the Planning Commission again held a public hearing on March 7th on the proposed ordinance amendments for Article 17, waterfront provisions, Section 17.5, notification and review. No public comments were made. The point of this, it was prepared to correct a conflict in the notification process for a waterfront permit application. They discovered that under the current ordinance, the initial notice is sent to property owners within 500 feet along the waterway. However, if a Planning Commission review was requested, the subsequent notice would be sent to owners within 500 feet of the property, not just along the waterway. Additionally, the current inclusion of language regarding a public hearing necessitates a 15-day notice in the paper per the Michigan Zoning Enabling Act. The Planning Commission review can be conducted without a formal public hearing, though potentially impacted neighbors, those within 500 feet along the waterway will receive a notice of the review. And so you were given a section of the new language. If Planning Commission review is requested, the zoning administrator shall provide property owner notice in the same manner as described in paragraph 1 above. And so it just takes out some of the additional language that ended up being conflicting.
Comments from anyone? Seeing none, we have a motion based on upon the recommendation of the Planning Commission. The Township Board of Trustees hereby approves the amendment to zoning ordinance Article 17, waterfront provisions, Section 17.5B, notification and review procedures. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? That passes. So you're doing a good job. And so I'll let you do another one. Go ahead.
I can take no credit for the hard work of the Planning Commission. We have a very active and well-educated leadership on that commission. And they meet regularly as a subcommittee and with our planner, Brian Borden, to bring these things forward. So that being said, I make a motion that based upon the recommendation of the Planning Commission, the Township Board of Trustees hereby approves the amendment to zoning ordinance Article 19, general provisions, Section 19.23, alternative energy systems.
Support.
And again, the same notification of the public hearing. There was no public present, no comments were made. However, this is one of those motions, this is one of those cases where the Planning Commission looked at this and said because of updates in technologies, we should look at revising the language. So 19.23 was prepared in response to several inquiries and at least one ZBA case. The current ordinance prohibits roof-mounted solar panels on the street-facing side of a residence. But when this was written, roof-mounted solar panels were rather large boxes that sat atop the roof and were considered unsightly. Modern technology has reduced the bulk of these structures such that they are now much more low profile and less visible. And so the commission cleaned up the side rear setback requirement for ground-mounted solar structures as well. The current language states that it shall be 6 feet, though the intent is a minimum setback of 6 feet. And so what we're trying to accomplish here is to let residents know that because of improvements in solar panel technology, they have more residents have an opportunity to put them on their roof on a street-facing structure. Derek, if you want to clean that up a little bit,
No, that's
I'd be grateful.
once again very accurate. The technology has changed to the point where, these solar panels are no longer as obtrusive as they once were because of the size of them. They used to only be allowed on one side of the structure or the roof. This ordinance change would allow it on any side, just because the profile and the size has been reduced so greatly over the past 10 years with the advances in technology.
And as we know, solar energy is not necessarily going to replace fossil fuel technologies, but it is one of those energy forms that allows people to take a step in a different direction. And so it's kind of part of the energy toolkit that residents have.
Anything else, Uda? For you?
No, not for me.
Okay, anybody else?
I'd just like to thank the Planning Commission for taking up this particular ordinance revision. I'd asked them to take a look at it in response to some of the ZBA requests we've gotten. And the clerk's correct. If you had a south-facing house, you pretty much just couldn't have solar panels. It was exclusionary, so the Planning Commission made a good move here, and now now everybody can have solar panels, which is great for us, great for the island, and good for the environment. So, thank you.
Other comments? Seeing none, we have a motion based upon the recommendation of the Planning Commission. The Township Board of Trustees hereby approves the amendment to zoning ordinance Article 19, General Provisions, Section 19.23, Alternative Energy Systems. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Everyone now can have solar
Oh,
panels.
and thank you, everybody. Thank you very much.
Okay. That's the end of our action items, so we're at our reports. Clerk's report. Why it's Uda.
Imagine that.
Yeah.
And running on empty here. I think Brian and I talked earlier today. He's going to take over the report, just to talk a little bit about the impact of redistricting and what's coming up with our elections.
Where is my zoom out on this?
Only have 3 minutes.
Okay, so this won't take that long, trust me. All right, so due to redistricting, there's some changes in our district numbers. I know we've talked about this before at meetings. I just wanted to quickly go over the new assigned district numbers for Grosse voters for the State House of Representatives, State Senate, and the U.S. Congress districts. So the State House of Representatives was District 23, is now District 27. This doesn't fit on there that well, but no, it's okay. It's good enough that you can tell kind of the boundaries. It's pretty much downriver itself. Then quickly into State Senate District 4.
It's up top. Rotate view.
All right. All right, so you can see most of downriver heading into Romulus, Van Buren Township in that area. And then U.S. Congress is, which was District 12, is now District 6. And so now we're going all the way into Washtenaw now, and all of Ann Arbor and that surrounding area, and then just a little bit of our downriver area included in that one. So that one's definitely changed. Hopefully by the end of this week, we'll be putting out the new ID cards. Elena's working on that right now, but it is a slow process to get 10,000 ID cards out. So every voter on the island will receive a new 4x6 postcard in the mail. Disregard your old voter ID card, replace it with the new one, have all your new district information on it. So hopefully that's by the end of the week. Absentee ballots, we're hoping to have absentee ballots by the end of the month. We'll go out to, all applications will go out to our permanent voters, and ballots will be available sometime around June 20th. So that's where we're at with that. That's all I have.
And just add that this does not change where people go to vote. This does not impact a change of voting place.
Right, we absolutely, with this redistricting, the downriver area has a challenge because other than the House representative, which that district is primarily downriver, you could see that we are a very small part of those other two districts, and Washtenaw County becomes a bigger part of those districts. So we have our work cut out to make sure that our voice is heard.
So if I'm not mistaken, the Michigan
districts were drafted by the nonpartisan commission in Lansing, whereas our federal districts are drafted by the controlling majority at the time, which probably why the state districts make sense more geographically, is what I'm saying.
Well, I just want to, oh. go
Yeah,
ahead.
no, I was going to say, I'm not sure they do.
Well,
And the downriver communities through the DCC really fought hard to try and keep downriver districts. I mean, even to the point of keeping, some of our districts had Detroit, and even though maybe the majority of it was downriver, we never saw a representative. It was a Detroit representative. So we really tried hard to ask them to make these districts downriver districts, and they basically ignored us. We, like I say, we're really going to have to shout a little louder to be seen and heard.
and we'll just have to cultivate our relationships, continue
Absolutely.
to cultivate our
Absolutely.
relationships with our representatives. Before I totally run out of steam, I just wanted to say the Planning Commission. The Planning Commission is putting together, trying to put together another meeting coming up end of May or June, but they're still checking for availability of members. And I wanted to make a point that the Fire Commission meeting that was scheduled for Thursday also, for lack of quorum, will not take place. And we're still trying to ascertain a good time to get everybody on board for the meeting. I think at some point we're going to have some conversations about maybe meeting time or meeting date, excuse me. And then Fire Chief Beaudry just again informed me this morning, as you all know, it's a very busy year for the department. And again, we are very fortunate to have them for the number of fire calls and rescue calls that they are involved with has greatly increased in the last couple of months and years. So that's it for the clerk's report. Thank you.
Thank you, David.
Thank you. This is redundant from our last meeting, but all of the unpaid 2021 property tax information has been sent to Wayne County. If you owe back taxes, property taxes for 2021, you need to contact Wayne County directly at waynecounty.com/PTA to get information on paying your late taxes and the actual balance due. And as always, the 2022 dog licenses and dog park passes are available at the cashier's window at Township Hall. As far as the DPS Commission meets actually tomorrow evening, and the Recreation Commission next meeting is June 2nd. And just a reminder that Islandfest is scheduled for June 3rd, 4th, and 5th here at the airport. Fireworks will be on the 4th with a rain day on the 5th. And that's my report for this evening.
Thank you, David. Trustees reports. Jameson.
All right, good evening. The Zoning Board of Appeals will be meeting on the 24th of May. There was not a meeting last month. And Derek, are you going to talk about the bridge engineer during your report? Where we're at on that?
Just that it's been passed along to them shortly after the meeting that we had approving it.
Okay.
I will check in to see where exactly they're at with things. I spoke with them shortly afterwards, after sending them the executed contract, and they said they were diligently working on it, so I'll get an update for the board and let you guys know what's going on.
Okay. Yeah, I just feel like it's something we need to just keep on everyone's radar. So that's all I have. Thank you.
Thanks, Jameson. Carl?
Thank you. I have the pleasure of sitting on two commissions. I have nothing to report from BPAC, Bicycle Pedestrian Advisory Commission.
We do have Greenway's Open Space Dump the Junk, Find a Treasure scheduled for Saturday, May 21, 9 to 4, 9 a.m. to 4 p.m. at the DPS yard. The matter of advertising is being handled by Deputy Clerk Friel, who's going to tell us where we are posting everything, what you can bring and what you can't bring.
All right. Dump the Junk has already been posted last week to our community calendar on our website. It's also been updated up on GI TV bulletin board. It was posted to Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter, and we will continue to push that out as reminders to everyone weekly and then more often as we get a little bit closer here. I do not have the update on what we can put out.
Regarding a list of prohibited items, those will be added, and pretty much if it's a mattress or if it's hazardous materials, keep it at home. We're not taking railroad ties, those kinds of materials. But the good news is that there are vouchers for hazardous materials that are available from Donna Deppa, or if you have any questions about whether or not your materials are going to be accepted, please give Donna a call at 734-676-4422, extension 227. Again, 676-4422, extension 227. Donna Deppa, she also has the vouchers that are available to take hazardous materials that will save you many dollars. We had one resident that used the vouchers and saved $150. So any questions, please contact Donna Deppa. And third and final thing, community shout out. St. James Church had its annual rummage sale. They have been doing this for over 60 years. The next rummage sale is scheduled for Friday, September 30th and Saturday, October 1st. They may be adding the preceding Thursday on that, so keep yourselves aware and posted on that. And just to give you an idea what they do with the proceeds from that, I spoke to one of the workers there. They had been working for a week and a half ahead of time staging it. And as a result of their efforts, there are donations, monies that are going to Crossroads, the Diocesan Episcopal Church Women, McGregor Ministries, El Hogar Home of Love and Hope, First Step, Mariners Inn, Spirit of Hope Soup Kitchen, the Sword of the Spirit, Episcopal World Relief and Development, the Capuchin Soup Kitchen, Sacred Heart Food Pantry and Grosse, Cass Community Social Services, the Salvation Army, Crop Hunger Walk, the Coalition on Temporary Shelter, and Pioneers USA. And thanks to Father Phil and all of those wonderful people that worked the program this last week. And that concludes my report.
Carl. Mr. Jarecki.
Yes. Got a little cold here, so I apologize. The police department, Chief Carmack and Deputy Chief Pellin have been working with Ann Darzenik. I believe, Derek, you've been involved a little bit, Jim and Dave, on a longer-term financial plan, part of which is, to justify, 12 officers, patrol officers, and full funding of the police department over the long term. I think this is important because when you look at the national standard for police officers, certified police officers, it's based roughly 2 per 1,000 residents, which really puts us at about 20 certified officers. So even with the 12th certified officer, when you count the deputy chief, the chief, and the 2 detectives, that only puts us at 16. Now, so they're running a pretty efficient shop, but I think it's important to mention as well a couple of other things. One, we've seen a 35% increase in incoming calls trending over the last 8 years that require assistance. Okay, so our population's been increasing, our calls have been increasing. Some people would argue the complexity of those calls have increased. One of the things that's somewhat unique about Grosse is we have a volunteer fire department. And so not only do we depend on those 12 road officers or 3-person units to police the island and keep us safe, but they're often, more often than not, the first responders to just about every emergency. And they've all been trained to actually add significant value. They're all trained on using defibrillators, the Lucas device for resuscitation or chest compressions, Narcan, CPR, and a whole slew of first aid needs. So these folks have their hands full, and I'd just like to commend the efforts of the staff here, Jim, certainly the management team. I think this is really important to the island because of our unique circumstances and the fact that they're doing a great job helping each other out. And quite frankly, I think, you know, if we didn't have these guys out there as first responders and as well trained as what they are, then it'd really be tough to have a volunteer fire department. And the alternative is really expensive. So just wanted to mention that. What else is going on? The license plate reader is just about working. I guess there's 3 phases of it. One, you had to have DTE do what they have to do, Comcast, and now I believe the software folks, Diligent, are roughly a couple weeks away, is what I've been told. So that's good news in terms of keeping us safe and reading license plates and checking them for felons and so on and so forth coming on the island. Speaking of the bridge and our electronics, we got a new report out. I've been contacted by a number of citizens concerned over the condition of the bridge. As you know, major repairs took place last year, and based on an inspection of November of 2020, the most recent inspection report has come out November of 21, the full report, not just the summary. And from November of 2020 to November of 2021, the 5 piers that were not rejuvenated, refurbished, whatever you want to call it, they went from fair to poor condition to poor condition. So I think it's really incumbent upon this board, Derek, Jim, I know you guys did a lot of work with Wayne County, getting a lot of attention and so on and so forth. And I know they had promised us a plan at some point. I think we really need to keep the pressure on to get a plan to fix those 5 remaining piers. I think it's a little bit overdue, and we need to remain vigilant until we get that plan for obvious reasons. And finally, the next police commission meeting is on May 17th, and you're all welcome to join us.
Thanks. Joe?
Good evening. I sit on the Airport Commerce Park Commission, and they meet 3rd Monday of the month in this boardroom at 6 o'clock. A couple things went on. They just received, within the month, a federal grant for $4 million to repair the east-west taxiway. And what was interesting in this is it's about a year overdue, but the commission didn't feel that the way that the grant was written and how they were going to complete the work was safe. So it took them a while to work with each other, and they came up with a palatable answer, if you will. And I'm not exactly sure. This probably won't start for a while. Maybe Derek even knows, but it probably won't be for another year, though, before this actually goes. So the $4 million that they got to do this, their amount that they have to put into it is 5% or $200,000, and that was budgeted last year for it. So, and once again, so you know, most of you, I guess, already would know that this is an enterprise system down there at the airport, and none of the tax dollars from Grosse will go to run that. They have the Commerce Park and other rentals that they have on the south side of Grosse Road, which takes care of the revenues, which supports them. And this was a big help to get it done because there was a safety issue with this runway for the pilots. So it's one more thing that they're trying to accomplish to make this airport as safe as can be for the pilots, which is obviously first and foremost. That is about it. I have nothing else for you tonight.
Thank you, Joe. Township Manager.
Just a couple items this evening. About a week or so ago, we had over 1.5 inches of rain during a 24-hour period of time. When we get that much rain, we do have some flooding around the island, and we were inundated with phone calls. One thing that the residents can do that can help everybody out, if you do have a catch basin in front of your house, especially this time of the year when you get a lot of these real started to rot type leaves that clog the gutters, they pile up on the catch basins and then it floods the road because the water can't get to the drain. I know it's not your responsibility as a resident to clean that out, but if you do see that and you see some flooding near the vicinity of your home, if you could help out and kind of clear that out, trust me, the water will go away a lot quicker if those are clear. So just a quick request to the residents if they can assist a little bit with that. Speaking of sewers, the township's contractor is doing sanitary sewer cleaning at the south end of the island. They were on Grosse last week, and they'll be moving south in Region 5 towards the south tip over the next couple of weeks. So you will get a notice at your house if they're cleaning in your vicinity as far as what to watch out for and certain precautions to take. So look for those notices if you're at the south end of the island. Another preventative maintenance item that we're doing right now is hydrant flushing, working south of Church Road right now. So if you see some discolored water at your home, run your water until it's clear, because when we flush the hydrants out, it does get the water in the mains a little bit stirred up. There is rust in those lines, so you'll see some discolored water at your home. Just run it until it's clear, and you should be good to go. The township is hiring a variety of different positions, or hiring for a variety of different positions, all part-time and seasonal in nature. We have openings in the recreation department with DPS. I know in the clerk's office they're looking for some election staff. So take a look at our website if you are interested in a part-time or seasonal position. There are a number of them that are out there. The treasurer had mentioned DPS meeting tomorrow at 7 o'clock. And the bike path and bridge on Grosse Road here right outside Township Hall is still being worked on. That's scheduled to be done by the 15th, but the bridge right now is closed on Grosse, so find an alternative route to do your exercise if at all possible, because they're actually half the bridge doesn't have boards right now because they're in the process of removing those and replacing those. And last but not least, the township is going to be doing a internship program with the school system starting this fall. But as a precursor to that, we do actually have an intern scheduled for this summer. Her name is Katie Kime. She's in the audience tonight. She is a student at the Big Ten football champion Michigan Wolverines, University of Michigan. So she'll be with us for the duration of the summer.
Derek, you didn't pass that information. I'm sorry, Katie.
This is a unpaid position, so her desire is strong to learn about local government, to stay with us for at least 30 or close to 30 hours a week with not being compensated, as well as sit in a board meeting or two. So if you see her at Township Hall, say hello and let her know what you know about local government. So,
Katie, would you mind standing up just so people can see you? Katie Kime, that you're okay. There she is. Thank you, Katie, for doing this, and I hope we can teach you something.
And with that concludes my report. Thank you.
Thank you, Derek.
Quick question, if I may,
Yes.
Mr. Supervisor. Update on the sale of the donation house on the north end.
Closing is scheduled for the end of May. So we've cleared the hurdles of appraisal, private inspection, I know there was-
Agency and the sale of the other home?
Yep, that's been taken care of. They have an offer, and they're scheduling the closing on that to coincide with the donor house on the same day, which I believe is the 31st of May or prior.
Thank you.
All right. Just a couple of things. We have a number of commission openings, so if there's anybody out there listening or in the audience that wants to get involved in Township, please look at the website and see the list of openings. We just added, as of last week, we're adding a opening on the DPS commission. So please put in if you can. Also, DTE will be starting their tree trimming process around the island. When they get into your area, you should be getting a telephone call from them. Certainly you will get some type of flyer from them telling you what they're going to do and about approximately when they're going to be there in the area. And that's all I have. Next, public comment. 3 minutes. Your name and address as to where you live, please. Any topic. Bill Heil. Yes, sir, Mr. Heil. Please come forward.
Making sure the microphone's on. Last time I spoke, it wasn't.
Yeah,
until later.
we didn't tell you, did we?
No.
Go ahead, Bill.
Bill Heil, I live on East River Road. I'm just going to make some quick comments from what I had heard spoken here today and add just a little emphasis to them. There was comment about solar panels. Those comments are accurate. I had mentioned once before when I was here, my wife and I have one. Our neighbor to the south doesn't even know it's on the roof. I mean, I had to tell him, and it was weeks later. It's the same color as the roof. So yes, they look good, and it's a wise decision to do that. The long-term financial planning that the police department is undergoing, I think, is wise. I think it's exemplary to what other departments should undertake as well, because we have to use money today as wisely as we've ever used it, in my opinion. We also need to look and do some long-term planning after that, I believe, in order to grow our tax base. We're a township. There's monies that are being granted for infrastructure. Because we're a township, we have to go to Wayne County to get things done. Uda was talking, presciently about the need for relationship with newly elected people, but with the people we've got at Wayne County, I think it's wise that we develop relationship there. And I think we also have to keep in mind that there's been recent news about Wayne County that was less than savory about some of the people who are there. Having a bridge engineer on staff to help us with that, I think, is more important than ever. And it might well be that we would benefit in these times with more advice, paid advice from professionals for other areas where decisions are necessary. Quality information helps you to make a quality decision. That basically is it. I'd like to see the license plate reader hooked up. That's been something in the back of my mind. I remember having conversations years ago with Joe before it went up, and I was encouraging him to do that. So plug it in, I guess. That basically is my quick comments.
I wish it was that simple, but they're working on it. Thanks, Bill.
Kevin Flavin, Park Lane, Grosse. I wanted to thank Mr. Jarecki for mentioning the police and having enough officers on the road to make sure that we need to have 3 officers on the road at each shift to make sure that people are, that the police can get to people if they are having a heart attack, having a stroke. They can get there within 3 to 4 minutes, which is the national recommendation by the Heart Association. If you are not helped by a first responder within that period of time, 6 minutes and you are brain dead. 4 minutes? 4 minutes, okay. So somebody at the last meeting mentioned that the police that we're overstaffed, and I think that's far from the truth. The FBI recommendation, which is nationwide, suggests that 2 officers per 1,000 residents, and we are working at 123% efficiency, so we are not fully staffed. And it seems to me that if you can have a municipal golf course and a municipal swimming pool that loses money every year, and you can defund the wages of the police by $100,000 over the last 2 years, that we certainly can find money within the budget to cover another road police officer. And your 34% of the folks on the island are 60 plus years old, and you may be in need of a first responder. We do not have first responders in the fire department per se, but the police do have that, and I think that it's very important that the 4 people that voted for the budget find $100,000 for another police officer.
Kathy.
Kathy Walker, 26051 Thorpe Court. I couldn't agree more with Mr. Flavin. I hope you do find the money. I know it's there. It's not hard to find. We've all done budgets, and we can do that. And especially if you've got the background that you guys have with the IRS and as a actuarial, it's not hard to do. And it would be so wonderful for the people to feel safe on the island. And knowing that you'll get a 3-minute response time will really make people feel better. And again, I encourage you to listen to Mr. Flavin and find that money. Thank you.
Thank you, Kathy.
Good evening. As many of you know, I'm Ricky Luton, 20128 Canal Drive, Grosse. And this is Rob Luton. Most of you know us, but we wanted to come and introduce ourselves because some of you do not. And I know this is a new board, so we'd like to introduce ourselves. We run the horse farm, and I am the varsity high school equestrian coach. We've had a pretty successful team. I just want to let you know we have a great team. And since I've taken over, we have won our districts every single time. This past year, we were district champions, so well that we probably didn't have to go to our last meet. That's how far ahead we were. So we have a pretty formidable team. We were regional champs, and we were 7th in the state this year. So one thing that could really contributed to that was the fact that we have one of the best trainers in the country right here on Grosse, as well as a beautiful and convenient farm right here on the island to practice at. So with that being said, I'm going to pass the mic over to Rob because he is the trainer of the farm.
That's my turn. Hello, everyone. I just want to get it out there. We have a full lesson schedule going right now. The kids can come out anytime through the week, get on the schedule, and ride horses. So I'm opening up to the whole island to come out and see the horses. We've been turning them out daily. Some stay out all the time. They can come and visit them. We got a lot of little kids that come out and feed them carrots. So any of the families on the island that would like to come see the horses, feed them some carrots, just enjoy the farm. We're putting a welcome sign out for everyone to come and check it out now. Thank you.
Thank you.
Anyone else? Not seeing any?
I'd like to make a motion to adjourn.
Support. Oh, that's quick.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.